Welcome to Michigan Reimagined, presented by T.A. Forsberg. And here's your host, Chris Buck.
So downtown Lansing's been reinventing itself before, during, and after the pandemic. One venue type that people have been clamoring for is event space. So here to discuss a new endeavor called Hall 224 is a partner, Mr. Scott Bell. Welcome to the show, Scott.
Hey, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Yep. So how did the prospects of getting a downtown venue begin?
If I can take you back to the sepia-toned time when I picked up a guitar, so it would be a very long story about why I'm in live music and touring with bands.
Okay.
But frankly, it was, we've been producing concerts in Michigan, in Lansing, where I'm from, and we had to own the building post-pandemic. How do you prevent your venue and your musical ecosystem from going away? You buy the building. So, and fortunately, we found a great spot right downtown at 224 South Washington Square.
Hence the name.
Yes,
right on.
Very simple there.
So we were talking a little bit off mic about kind of the ecosystem of entertainment venues. Share with me, what we were just chatting about, how, what does Lansing have, what doesn't Lansing have, and how is the advent of Hall 224 and then the Ovation for listeners who tuned in a couple of weeks ago when I had that endeavor on board. How does this all get connected with the Wharton and, all that stuff?
And this is what Lansing has lacked, almost since I've, been starting to going to shows. Other cities have had is the ability for a band, a live event, to invest in Lansing. You come play our club, you do a certain amount of people on the first record, you come back, you sell our club out, and just recreating that. The ability for people to look at Lansing, that's where I go for live entertainment. I grew up having to drive to Detroit, having to drive to Grand Rapids, and it's honestly one of the reasons I started was, well, what if I just book it in Lansing,
right?
And we'll see how it goes. And I guess I'm still doing it, and now we're building a purpose-built venue that's going to be 900 capacity, plenty of great artist amenities. We're putting a lot into sound, lighting, video. Artist green rooms, load in, all that stuff. There's kind of three things that when our team is doing festivals, promoting club shows in the state is the band sound good, is the beer cold, and are the bathrooms clean?
Right. Okay.
And if you do those three things, everything kind of takes care of itself.
Right on. Okay. Now, but you've been doing this for a while, right? You mentioned how you got your start.
Yeah. I've been booking bands since I was 19 and mid 30s now, and it's the only thing I've ever really done well. The rest of our team, my entertainment group, has been at it longer than I have. So it's the one thing that we know well. And so,
was it a post-pandemic kind of passion-filled thing that made you jump in and kind of do this now?
Yeah, the pandemic definitely kind of kicks you in the rear and says, all right, let's get serious about this project,
right.
Take it a little step back. And again, how do you prevent all of your venues from closing in your hometown?
Right.
You lost the Loft, you lost Max Bar. How do you put your stake in the ground and build something that's going to be around, the building that we're in now is, turn of the century. It was the original Knapp's location. It's been granaries. It's been shoe repair stores, department stores, nightclubs. We have a photo when it was Paradise of Magic Johnson dancing disco in the back of the old stage. So it's been a lot of things to a lot of people. We just had to update everything. Had to tear it all out.
Yep.
100 years of electrical, restaurant equipment, all that stuff. It's going to be all brand new. It's a complete restoration of that space.
That's fantastic. And you mentioned Max, you mentioned the Loft. I've been to both, and even when they were open, the experience doesn't appear to have been, or I can tell you, isn't what appears to be the experience that I expect to have at your new venue, because some of those attributes didn't reflect. And maybe I got there towards the end of their heyday, not to speak disparagingly, because I miss them dearly. But if I could have them back, maybe a little bigger with all the brand new amenities and the cold beer and the clean bathrooms and that kind of stuff, I think I'm going to be a pretty happy resident.
Yeah, that's it, right? There's charm to every structure, but at the same time, building something that Lansing can grow with, and also that artists can grow into, right?
Right.
And not just playing that bar and moving on.
Right. And this building, interestingly, I've been in this building. I mean, granted, it was beat down. It was
everybody had
4 or 5 years. No, but like 4 or 5 years ago,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it was vacant because I serve on a board, and they were looking for some space or whatever, and they do performances as well. So we had a chance to go in and see whether it was going to serve those needs, and it's awesome. I mean, I love historic downtown buildings. I mean, you're right in the kind of row homey kind of, storefront after storefront. You can't tell where buildings kind of begin and end. You just have all these great storefronts down by the Knapp Center, Knapp building. Tons of residential going in kind of on that side of town too. You got freeway access, you got walkability, you've got restaurants and bars that are around the space. I mean, this is a prime spot. I'm excited for the city, and I'm proud of you guys for finding that diamond in the rough and having the vision to go get that done. Can you talk a little bit about your partners and like how you guys pulled this all together? Because that's a pretty capital heavy investment, I would imagine, to turn that place from what I saw it to be into what I expect it's going to be.
I mean, so you turn around and you look at downtown, and you're like, well, what don't we have, right? When we don't, at one point, Lansing had 7 theaters, and you can dive into the historical reasons of why they all closed and why the Strand's a law firm now, and that's, it's, we deserve this, I feel like I've been to every Big Ten, college town, Midwest city of this size, and what do they all have is a 900 to 1,000 capacity room that does great. That's kind of a cornerstone of the downtown entertainment district, and that's, I think, the vision that the folks who've helped us with a lot of financing and just pushing the project forward and being cheerleaders, folks like LADC, MSU, Federal Credit Union, the SBA is involved. So a lot of great community members that have been, I think real cheerleaders for what we're doing.
Right on. So how do you kind of prime the pump and start training the talent to know that Lansing has a venue that would serve their needs and kind of court those early adopters of, hey, we're opening in, and we'll talk about your timeline here soon, but what's the process? Who do you plug in with to get kind of on the dance card?
So, and that's where I think we have always had that talent. We already have those relationships. That's what sets us apart from every other person who's ever opened a nightclub in the 517 area code.
Perfect.
West,
okay,
East,
good news.
South Lansing. Is that, it's just picking up the phone to these agents and emails, and instead of routing a show to Detroit or Grand Rapids, I'm saying, hey, I've got this brand new project in a town you've never thought of. I've got 40,000 MSU kids who have nothing to do if they're under 21. They can't get in to anything unless they're smart with a fake ID or something, right? And there's no live music that they can go to, and it's just it's as simple as that, really.
Yep.
And also 2 things too. Giving them the money they want,
right,
so that the band can show up with the production, and making sure there's no corners cut. There's a lot of times at other venues, the electric isn't what you need to have video walls, lighting, stage size, capacity. We have 27 feet of trim height, so no one has to lower their video wall size when they come into us. Short of someone having massive semi trucks that needs to play Little Caesars, they can play our room.
That's great. I mean, that's a real value add. And so, my brain immediately goes to live music. I'm a big music lover and concert goer and all that kind of stuff, but it's also just an event space that can be used for other purposes. Tell me what other types of organizations might be able to utilize your space. Yeah.
So the cool thing about, if you get it right on the concert side, your venue's probably nice enough to be right on the private event side.
Okay.
We're showing a lot of folks the space for weddings. We're going to be doing plenty of weddings, plenty of corporate events, plenty of private events. We've got all those packages worked out. Tables, chairs, rent out will probably be around, if you get crafty with the layout, 200 seated.
Okay.
So you're able to have spoken events, live streamed, like TED Talk kind of stuff.
Right. Nonprofit
with our
fundraisers.
Stage. Exactly.
Yep.
And you'll be able to stream all that. We'll be set up for that. Our stage is modular. We can build it. We can tear it down. We can give you a catwalk. It's not just one rectangle in the room, and it's immovable.
Yep.
We're as flexible and able to give you help you with whatever vision you have to make your event happen.
Right on. Now, you talked about the beer being cold, which I think is fantastic. Will you have a kitchen, or would you cater in food options for the people that use the space?
So we are not in the food business, at least to start.
Yep.
But we do have space for caterers to come in and unbox, things like the 3-drip sinks and tables for them to serve from. The goal, the dream is like, that Thursday through Sunday packed concerts or other events, and you've got a food truck out front, parked down there in Washington.
Yep.
And at least during the summer months, we've got a great patio, that entertainment zone, and folks can bring food. And just you're buying it from the bar, you're using like a Toast point of sale system. You're doing all kinds of stuff like that. But we're not going to be serving food.
Right on.
We got a big caterers list.
Yeah, that's certainly not a flaw. I was curious because there's a lot of great food providers, and honestly, there's also an ecosystem, right, where other businesses can be a part of your success and feel that bolster of economic development that your venue is going to bring. I want to sidestep and thank another developer that sponsors our show here. So when it comes to creating commercial and residential spaces, there's no one I trust more than my friends at the Forsberg Real Estate Company. Brent Forsberg and his team take a holistic approach to creating an environment that suits your needs while creating a foundation for a prosperous community. Since the 1950s, Forsberg has been a name to trust if you're looking to partner on a project, occupy a great space to live or work, or simply follow one of the great thought leaders of our state. Reach out to my friends at Forsberg Real Estate Company by calling 517-349-9330 or check out their website at lansingrealestate.com. You will not regret it. So, the space is, you guys purchased this building, which is, that to be a tenant and something like that and putting that kind of capital expenditures and all that stuff would really complicate. So to be the owners has got to be a competitive advantage and give you kind of a real foundation to do what it is you want to do without having anyone regulating any of that kind of stuff, which is great. And so how important is the Ovation? I've had the Ovation team on to talk about the coming other concert venue. How are you going to be different? How are you going to be similar? And how are you two going to feed together on this ecosystem?
Yeah, like we talked about, a Lansing ecosystem of the other large cities have small, medium, and large size venues. A rising tide raises all ships in terms of like a professional live event experience and production on the back of house. Right. People need to be coming to Lansing, and from the barricade back, artists, management, crew need to feel like they're at a House of Blues and anywhere in America. They don't need to feel like they're in a small college town that's a forgotten market, right? They need to, all the production's got to be up to par, and the same with the fan experience. That you just have to give people what they want, because they could easily just stay home on their phones now.
Right. Yeah. No doubt. So you've got 200-ish for seating, 900-ish for standing, right? So kind of the flat floor.
Yeah, and the mezzanine. Yep. We've constructed a steel mezzanine that's going to be, for sponsor nights. Okay. An upgraded ticket. We do envision a lot of like presents, concert series kind of things, and then you're bringing all your staff out, and you guys have the access to the mezzanine, which I think is the best seat in the house. If you're standing at the edge of that ledge, you're like looking right down at like Chase Rice and seeing like what's in his solo cup, right? You're seeing you're seeing what Wiz Khalifa's like walking around, you're seeing what is on the set list before it happens, because you can read the paper over the stage because you're that close. And that mezzanine will have bathrooms and a private bar.
Oh, wow.
And elevator access. We're trying to be as accessible as possible. Bathrooms on each floor as well.
Okay. So the one thing we haven't talked about is the timeline, right? So we're recording this in early May of 23. So what's your timeline for opening up? When are we going to see our first show? Yeah. And do you know who it is?
I do know who it is. May 8th, we will have a full reveal of the first 10 or so concerts that we do have confirmed.
Fantastic.
And the website reveal and ticketing and, clicking links. Right now, it's all very rendering and Vision Quest.
And that's fine. And by the time the show officially airs, all that stuff should be live, which is great. So what is the website and social handles?
Yeah, hall224.com, and then hall224 on pretty much every other social website.
So that's what's going to drop. When are those one of those first 10 shows beginning?
Mid-July.
Okay.
Yeah, we have soft opening events in mid-June and late June. That are some private rentals and afternoon dinners with like a gospel jazz brunch.
Okay.
Lansing Pride has an event that they want to activate as well. But yeah, so very soft opening, not hard ticketed events.
Yep.
That because we have to get bar processes and build that culture and figure out where the best place for a security guard to stand is at each corner.
Right. Yep.
Things you don't know until you actually put some people in a room and see how the flow is and see which.
Right. It's like an organism. It kind of creates its own.
It is.
Deal.
I've been staring at a room of 1,000 people across Europe and North America for like 15 years, and it's definitely there's a knack to figure out. Oh well, maybe this club should not have put those velvet ropes there because it's just creating a bottleneck for the bar.
Right. That's fantastic. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you think is important for the world to know as you launch this? I couldn't be more excited about you guys coming. Yeah. It's fantastic. Anything else that we didn't touch on that you think is important to know?
I mean, I just think that this is definitely something that Lansing deserves and that the whole state is going to pay attention to. Everybody up 127 and, an hour each way, frankly, I think is, a lot of cases just as close to Lansing as they are going downtown to Detroit or Grand Rapids. And our parking is going to be free. And it's going to be, after 6 o'clock, it's going to be, we're going to be alive.
Right. Well, fantastic. I'm really, really excited to have you here. We've been talking about Hall 224 with the partner, Mr. Scott Bell. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I also want to thank again our sponsors. We've got Wagoner Financial at WagonerFinancial.com and T.A. Forsberg, the Forsberg Real Estate Company at LansingRealEstate.com. But first, you have to go and check Hall224.com and check out all the apps. Thanks for coming on, Scott.
Yeah, thanks for having me.